thank God we don't use metronomes here at Empire Music. That would have been way off. What's up, guys? Anthony here at Empire Music. Phone number at the shop, 412-343-5299. Checking out this absolutely gorgeous Fender Custom Shop Artisan jazz bass with this really, really beautiful maple burl top on it. You know, everything is cyclical out there, and I think, it's my prediction, actually it's not my prediction, I don't really think they ever went away, but man, like exotic top basses are they're just cool. I mean, we can all admit that. I love the vintage stuff, like your sunbursts and your Olympic whites and all that cool stuff, and we do so much cool, sorry I got an itch on my head there, so much cool Fender Custom Shop stuff that's really vintage. It's refreshing to see some exotic top stuff, some Artisan series stuff pop back through. We did a run of Stratocasters and Telecasters. I've been here almost 8 years, so it must have been like 6 years ago, maybe even 7 years ago, that were really beautiful, and this kind of like harkens back to that stuff. So maple burl top with an ash body. One of the most beautiful, I don't know if the light's catching it or not, but one of a flame maple neck. That's a 3A flame maple neck on it. Pickups, 60s, like vintage voiced pickups there, even though it looks really modern. Alnico 5 pickups in there, 60s Alnico 5. They call it a heavy beveled pickup, and that's the pole pieces there. They have a pretty hard curve, or like bevel to the top of them. You can't see it, I'm sure, from this angle. RSD bridge, like a high mass bridge, volume tone. The red torque guard juxtaposes this maple burl top perfectly. So 3A rosewood fretboard as well. So 3A flame maple neck, 3A rosewood fretboard on it. 60s U neck on it. I'll say this again, this time, I've said it before, I will say it moving forward. The 60s U to me really feels like a C-shaped neck to me when we spread that out over just the 1.5 inches at the nut. And still has the little baggies on there, but lollipop tuners on there, or paddle tuners as they call that. I love the look of that. It's just a really, really cool bass, man. I opened up the case on this and I was just like, man, it's awesome. Perfect for an NOS finish on there. It is a nitro finish. Sounds really, really good. I don't know if it's just the inspiration that I get from seeing it, or if it's probably a sum of the parts there, but it is an inspiring bass. As soon as you pull it out of the case, it's just so beautiful. It's just so cool to see. Again, I just can't stress enough how cool it is to see some exotic tops coming back in to the bass world. Again, I don't know if they ever went away, but when I was coming up, like the turn of the century there, like 2000s, like 98 to 2005. But this was everything. Like you wanted these, not that this is long scale, but it was like long scale, 5-string exotic tops. And I'm glad to see that stuff's kind of coming back around a little bit, because I love the vintage stuff, and it will always be, I think, the best bass for just about everything. But it's cool to change it up every once in a while. Let's dive into some of the tones on it. Full volume, full tone, as I was playing at the intro there. Did I leave out any specs on there? I don't know, probably. I always do, and then have to answer for my actions in the YouTube comments, which I'm always willing to do. So comment, like, subscribe, do all that stuff here for our YouTube channel. Greatly appreciate it. Oh, keep in mind, if you're interested in this bass, which I don't think this is going to be around long, or anything else that you see, there'll be a link below to our Fender Custom Shop bass inventory. You can give me a call here, 412-343-5299. You can also just email me. It's anthony@empiremusic.com. I'll walk you through some of that process if you want to get something that we have in stock. Hopefully we can get you a really nice price on that stuff. Or if you want to build your own bass, I've done that at this point, I feel like hundreds of times for customers. The process is pretty easy. We put a deposit down. We get you, your perfect Fender Custom Shop bass. We'll see what the wait time is. At the time of filming this video, it's not that bad. It's like 18 months, something like that. So who knows? But reach out. Any questions you have, feel free. Full volume, full tone, both pickups wide open. It's kind of like medium attack. We go to something heavier. And lighter. Very cool. One thing I noticed there, and I almost stopped playing because it struck me, is how much space this is filling up for a jazz bass. That's something that gets kind of talked about with jazz basses, that they can be, I guess when we're comparing them to P basses, they can be a little bit weak as far as the space that they fill up. I don't necessarily always agree with that, because I feel like they just fill up they fill up different space harmonically than what a P bass gives you. Maybe we could talk a little more about that when we solo the front pickup in there, as I've said before, but I think wide open, they actually do a really, really good job as far as support in the band. And I'm finding that, same with like the way that I've said it with PJ basses, they're not always, it might not sound as supportive when soloed, but sitting in a mix with all that content that gets kind of spread out throughout the frequency spectrum, and I think this certainly represents the upper mid-range and the bitier, and I mean that in a good way, like the treble side of things more than a P bass. I think can sit in a mix really, really nice, especially if you kind of want it to get aggressive. It can be cool. But I love the way that this lighter attack very warm, very round, very cool. So just front pickup now. Whoop. So full volume on just the front pickup. We're gonna flirt with a P bass character. Now this is where I find, if we're comparing this to a P bass, not that I like doing that, this has its own kind of thing when we solo that front pickup. This is like a little thinner, not necessarily lacking low end, but lacking a little bit of like the balls that a P bass would have. If I think of them, the two things, a P versus this front pickup, if I think of them visually, I think of the P as having a lot of layers and more depth to it, where this sits a little bit flatter, if that makes sense. If I'm just visualizing, you know, kind of what the tone looks like, which I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing to do, but it's sometimes how I do it. I think of this just as a little flatter version of a P bass. We'll go medium attack. Right, now heavier attack, we start getting that like that thwonkiness out of a P bass that is now changing. I think pretty. It's very different from what you get typically out of a P bass. Yeah, just kind of flatter sounding. lighter attack. Again, very cool, very round on that. I'm surprised how much space that fills up. It's nice. Now just the bridge pickup on there. It's kind of an area where my attack tends to kind of even out. So we'll just kind of play through that. We'll roll some tone back on that. Kind of one of my favorite little tricks is to roll both volumes back on a jazz. A little more on the bridge, roll some tone off. Gives it a nice kind of character there in that P-bass territory, but with a little extra little spike on that top end. If you like and I love the sound of a P-bass with some slap playing on it, that's a really, really great option because it adds that little bit of upper sparkle to it. We take the tone all the way back up. A little too bitey for me personally there. We take some of that off, it's like perfect. Awesome, awesome bass. And just to kind of remind you, full everything. Man, all the looks, all the tone, just a really, really nice very 60s centric jazz bass tone with like a modern touch to it. So this is the Fender Custom Shop Artisan Maple Burl Jazz Bass. Limited edition, available at the time of filming this video. I don't think this will stick around very long, but you never know. Give me a call at the shop, 412-343-5299. You can also email me personally, right directly to my inbox, anthony@empiremusic.com. Thanks for watching.